almost done with this 4x4-inch sketchbook from Michaels. I have a few pages left in the back, but I will be using those to finish up Drawgist for this month of August. Once I'm done with this one, I'll be moving into another one of the same size, also from Michaels. And I really love these. They're a great size for just sticking in your bag, carrying around with you. It's easy to pull them out and sketch. I like to sketch in the car, and the hard covers are really great for that because it keeps everything sturdy and you don't have pages flopping around while you're trying to work on them. And overall, just really love these. This little loop is great to hold them closed. If you have a small pen or pencil, you could even stick it in here. Let's see. Obviously, I wouldn't be using an acrylic paint marker usually, but if you have something small, I'll do it on this one. This one's a little more stretched out. If you have something short, you can just stick it in there, or use something this length even. You could stick it on there if you don't mind it sticking out. But I have a few small pencils that I can stick in there if I want to. But yeah, overall, I just really love this kind of sketchbook. This one has been in use since last April, I believe, maybe March. So it's a little bit beat up. It has some water stains, it has some ink stains, but I think it's just fun to see when you've been using a sketchbook for a long time how it gets worn and all of the marks that show just how much you've been using it. So anyway, I thought I would do a quick flip through of this. I am going to skip some of the end because from doing Drawgist in this sketchbook, I am making a full-length video on those drawings as well, so you'll be able to see those later. But here is a flip through so far and just a short little explanation of some of the artwork. So on the first page, the very first page, I usually skip because they're stuck together kind of awkwardly and it's just hard to use. And then on the first normal page, I guess you could say, on this one I just wanted to see how watercolor held up on these because this was my first one of this size, I think, that I tried to use watercolor on. You can see the binding on the spine is kind of falling off a little bit. And then I had gotten a thermal label printer and I wanted to see if Sharpie stuck to them, and they do. Now, when I have a sketchbook, let me see, I, again, skip that one weird page, and then I actually use my label printer to print something that has my email address and my phone number. And I also do photography, so I put that one on there too. But I guess I can show you this one. I just did something simple with some washi tape because I liked the colors and tried to get colors and patterns that matched the cover. So blues, silvers, some gold, and then little white flowers and blue flowers. But on this one, very simple, a lot less cute. I just kind of wanted to get something on this page first. This page I was practicing for my turtle drawings. I actually have two pages like this where I was just trying out colors. I had gotten some new watercolors, so I swatched them on here, and just kind of some scribbles with markers and watercolors to see some different colors before I was going to make a painting on a canvas panel. That's what these were. I actually did these at a coffee shop back in Indiana. Then this one was just trying out some different markers and seeing how they covered, and also seeing how I would run a letter for a postcard. I don't think I actually used any of these. Oh, and also this is my stamp. For my canvas panels, I stamp my signature on them, and I don't know what these random squiggles were. I think I was trying to do them with different pens maybe or something. I'm not really sure because this is based on my actual handwriting. So I'm not sure why these ones are so bad. I think I was testing out different shapes actually. I think might have been what this was. So it's it's SMC, so it's my initials. And I think I was testing out different variations and connecting different ones together. I ended up having the M and the C connected and the S is in between them and it's not actually connected. So I think I was testing different ways I wanted them to look. But anyway, this is just a very chaotic page. Then moving on, these are some ships. So a lot of this notebook, what happened was I would do pencil sketches and then come back in with ink, and then later I would use markers. So all of the blue on the background and the brown on these I did later. You can see here this is April. So as far as I know, I started this in April. But I was testing out different shapes of sailboats for some canvas panel paintings, and then later I decided it was boring to just have the boats, so I colored them in with this golden brown and then put the background on. This is just a mountain sketch. I used watercolors and Pigma microns for the line art and just kind of wanted to do something simple, and I believe this was a warm-up before I was working on canvas panels. This is from May. I have wanted to try to use markers more for the last couple of years, and until this year I hadn't really committed super hard to doing that. So this year definitely I have done a lot more marker than usual, but this is what started a lot of my marker drawing. So these were actually using mostly Arteza brush pens. I think they're called Arteza real brush pens, and it's like a paintbrush bristle kind of brush. So I had done a couple with those. This is what these are made with as well. And then here is where I started using Tombos more, because I had just mainly used Tombow dual brush pens for lettering, but on this one, the Arteza real brush pens, the textures are great for trees because you can kind of like dab it on. Let me grab a paintbrush, I can show you. So because it's an actual bristle like this is the same as the Arteza real brush pens. I know this is very terrible for your bristles, but sometimes I will go like this and like poke the page, and it makes a really cool texture, and I really liked it for trees. So I had used those for these, and then just started to do Tombos a little bit more. And then these were using more and more Tombos. These I had so much fun making. I just found some whimsical storybook pictures on Pinterest and kind of based them off of that. These were so much fun. I think I made a short video of these, maybe an Instagram reel, I'm not really sure. But these were a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed making them. These are more, again, you can kind of tell from the brush strokes with them being more crisp and square instead of how these ones are kind of sketchy looking, that these are more Tombos. So I think both of these I think were mostly Tombow, and then you can see from the white here and also over here on the clouds. I came back later when I had gotten I believe it's called a China white pencil. It's kind of it's meant to be used on paper or glass or even metal. So it's a kind of waxy texture, even though they call it a pencil. But I came back to try to use it on these because I didn't really love either of these. So I just used that to add a little bit of texture and see if I liked it better. This was a page that we were at a market, and I had written down some ideas of things that people said that they liked or that we should make. And then my toddler decided that he wanted to draw on here, so he drew on this page. So I just left these ones like that. This is a pencil sketch that I did of a volcano that I had thought about doing in marker, but then I decided I didn't want to mess up the sketch, so I just left it as pencil. So this is one of the pages that is just pencil, even though the majority of this notebook actually ended up having marker art. And I did go later, I took a picture of this as a reference, and I made another piece farther along in this notebook that you'll see in a minute. This was a test with, I was going to work on a canvas panel of scenery, so this was a test of that scenery. And I also had gotten these are Zebra Zensation colored pencils, and they are mechanical colored pencils. And I had gotten the green and the orange individually at a dollar store, and I had used the green and the orange to do some sketches on here. They were the only colors that the dollar store had. And then I actually went and got the whole pack later from Amazon, I believe, because I really liked the way that they drew. But then I came in later and I added some marker. So I added the marker for the ocean, for some of the trees, and a little bit of green on here. I have thought a couple times about coming back and actually fully finishing this, but I kind of like the way that it looks, even though it's not very detailed and it's kind of weird and sketchy. I still think it's kind of fun. Here's more with those pencils. This is when I got more of them, so there's some pink and purple on here as well, even though I originally just had green and orange, which was kind of a fun challenge to not use too many colors. Here's more when I had gotten more colors, as well as some swatches. These are some of my favorite Tombow colors, and then a few zebra brush mild liners that I really like. So those are these. I didn't plan to have all these supplies within arm's reach, but I do. so I can show them to you. So these are those 3 colors. Oh, that's not right. I had a green one. I don't have green, but I also like this one. It's like a greenish teal. So sometimes I would use these on my marker art as well. I believe I used the zebra for the background on this one. And then these are the swatches of all of the pencils that I have, the zebra mechanical pencils. These are, I had some small magnets that I was going to be painting, so I had made the shapes of the magnets. And again, my toddler decided that he wanted to help, so he wanted me to draw a turtle, so we drew a turtle together, and then he said this one looked like it should have a face, so we gave it a happy face. And that's why these ones are like this. Sometimes we draw random silly things and then we just leave them in my sketchbook. So that's another thing I love about these. They're not very expensive. I think they're like $3 maybe, or $4. So we'll sometimes just draw silly things in here and I don't have to worry about it being in a nice sketchbook, and that's kind of fun. These are more Tombow marker drawings, and this one also has some mild liner and more of that China pencil. These are just a few little sceneries. This one I actually ended up making a digital landscape based off of. It's based off of a national park, I believe, in Arizona. If I can find what it's called, I will put it up here on the screen. But yeah, just some simple doodles, some trees and flowers. Again, using Tombow dual brush pens. I just really had been enjoying using those. Obviously, I'm enjoying them even more now, doing a whole art challenge using only them. This was crayons, I believe. We were cleaning out some of my art supplies and found crayons. And again, my toddler wanted to know if we could draw with them, so we drew a little mountain scene. This was for Peachtober in 2023. At first I had thought I would use mainly crayons. Obviously I used markers here, so that didn't fully stick. But I thought I would use crayons. So these were a few sketches that I was going to do in here before making the full and final pieces on different paper. But, let's see, okay, so this one was bee. And this was before I had the idea to make them all be cats. So I was like, oh, a cat in a little bee costume would be cute. This one was cosmos, I believe, so like space. I didn't really have a plan with this one, and also I tried to use a white crayon to make stars and it didn't work super good. But I thought of doing a dog that had like galaxy print on it would be kind of cool. Didn't end up doing that and changed it to something different, but this was kind of fun and maybe I will come back to that later. This was for sweet. So the first thing that popped into my mind was a like old style ice cream soda fountain kind of theme. Didn't end up doing that either. Did something totally different. I made a cat that looked like a donut, which you'll actually see sketches for here in a minute as well. Then this was grub, so combination of food and a little grub trying to get to it. Again, none of these sketches actually ended up being what I did, but it was kind of fun. And most of these were either using pencil or crayon. And then here I got some oil pastels because I thought it would be fun to use those. So he's oil pastel, there's some crayon, there's some ink pen, and then the background is Tombow dual brush pen. Actually, I believe this part is oil pastel as well. And then we have a volcano. This one was actually really fun to do. I really liked how the oil pastel blended together for the different browns. It was very fun, and this is actually probably the most similar to Volcano that I ended up doing later with the cat prompt, but that one was a lot of fun. And then I just used Tombows for the sky in the background. And like I mentioned earlier, some of these I did come back to later and I added things. So I would add the sky, or I would add let's see, like on this one I added the sky. I don't remember if the grass, I'm pretty sure the grass is oil pastel, so I don't think I added that. But like the sailboat page, how I added all the blue afterwards, I did that on some of the drawings in here just to make the pages look more cohesive and more finished. This is another variation of grub. Again, these two are oil pastels, and then I came back with Tombows just to add some texture and kind of play around with combining different mediums and different styles. This was for a postcard exchange that I did. So basically there was a Facebook group that you commented if you wanted to participate, and then the organizer would send you a random person's name from the group, and you would message each other, get each other's addresses, and then I sent her a postcard and a couple stickers, and she sent me a couple of prints and a greeting card, I think. So this was a sketch for that, just trying out colors. I wanted to do a little fall fox scene. And I came back later after I had already finished the postcard, and I used Tombow dual brush pens to give some color to the fox and make it a little bit more interesting instead of just having a bunch of pencil sketches. Also, this guy down here in the corner cracks me up because he was very low effort, so he looks very funky. And then this one up here, this little guy in pencil, I think is very cute. But yeah, I just like to keep some pencil sketches because later I'll come back to them and take a picture of them and then use them for digital sketches, or just use them as references for later pieces. So I didn't want to color all of these in marker because, like, this little guy, I think he's very cute and I could use him as a sketch for something later. More foxes. This was just kind of messing around. I believe I did this one without a sketch, and just kind of had fun with the floof of his tail. This one I used a different pen, so that's why there's all these marks here, but I cannot remember what pen I used. I tried to find it because I really love the color and just how crisp it is. And if you look at it at the right angle, I don't know if the camera can see it, but it is a very intense color and it really covered super well. So I was trying to figure out what pen that was, but I cannot figure it out. I think it may have been one of my, I have some metal tipped calligraphy type pens, fountain pens, that's what they're called. So I think it may have been one of those, but I don't remember which one because I have a few different kinds. So at some point I will figure out what pen that was and draw with it more because it was a lot of fun. Here is coming back to Peachtober with the cat theme in mind, and also knowing that I was going to do a combination of crayons and oil pastels. So these are some sketches of cats sleeping, looking like donuts, as well as a little bit of a sketch for, this was how I would blend the colors. And the idea was to have his blanket be the frosting on top. So some ideas of how to blend the frosting colors and just different shapes for the cat. Here you can kind of see the idea of the blanket being on him and having that wavy, frosty kind of texture. These were a couple different ones. So this is obviously grub, and I believe I have another grub sketch in a moment, maybe not. So I had a few ideas for grub, but then I ended up settling on this one where he was kind of peeking over the log, and then there ended up being a little grub in front of him that he was peering at, and then just some blending of different colors here. And this was the original sketch that I did. So for the actual final piece, obviously this was a very fast kind of cartoony cat, and then I ended up using this sketch about like that for the final piece, but this is based off of my old cat that I used to have, so I thought it was very cute and I decided to finish the whole piece instead of only drawing, you know, that much of his face. I just drew the whole reference picture, and then I liked the way that it looked in pencil and I didn't want to mess it up, so I just left it in pencil and then gave him a marker background. This is Sprig. The first thought that I had for this one was to have a little cat in a pot and have him holding a little branch. When I think of Sprig, the first thing I think of is holly, like the Christmas plant. So that was just kind of a little doodle for that, and some Tombow colors that I thought kind of matched the theme, even though I wasn't using Tombows for this. I thought those colors would match nicely if I decided I wanted to do a drawing with Tombows later. This is for eye. This one I basically knew right away that I wanted to do this and just have a close-up of the cat's eye. I don't remember what I did for the background. I may have actually drawn that whole side of the cat, but this one didn't really take a whole lot of sketching, so then I just kind of had fun making different cat faces. And this is a cat that she has droopy eyes, so she looks very sad, and apparently it was a somewhat viral cat and people had like articles and everything about her. I'm not really sure, but her face cracks me up and she makes very cute faces, and it kind of reminds me of a cartoon. So just some sketches of her, some little doodles, and also on this one trying out different shapes of eyes. So this is more the eye shape for on this last sketch, not that one, on this one. That's kind of more his eye shape, and then also some more open eye shapes, just kind of playing around with that. This one is very weird if you didn't see the final piece, but for Crater, you don't have to take it literally. Some of people kind of say, oh, the word is this and it also means this. So Crater made me think of volcano. And I don't know if you've seen those pictures of cats, or if you have a cat you would know, but like they kind of ooze on and off of things. So I thought of that to make the cat be the lava. So this is my very chaotic like 30-second sketch of a cat. Oh, I thought I had more, but I don't. But this ended up being really fun and probably one of my favorites. It did take a long time, and I think I'll actually be making a digital version at some point because it was so fun to make. But this is a very simple but chaotic page because I knew right away what I wanted to do and didn't really have to change my mind or come up with any ideas. It was kind of just deciding which way I wanted the cat to be curved, which only took 2 tries, as you can see. This was for Dream. I didn't know if I wanted to have it in the thought bubble or to actually have it in its head, so like you could see its dream sort of thing. I don't know if I ended up actually finishing this piece or not. I ran out of time partway through the Peachtober challenge and I didn't get to finish all of them. So I don't remember if I actually drew this one or not. But again, very chaotic, quick sketches just to get ideas down and a general feel for what I would want to make. Here we are back to marker art, and these ones I believe are from this year now. I don't remember for sure, but I believe I started these this year. So these are just some more marker drawings, different landscapes, layering some colors and testing out new colors. I realized from doing these that part of my problem with marker art is that I tried to use too many different colors. So here you can see there's a kind of golden green, and I needed to just limit myself to a certain number of markers so I didn't have all of the shades available. I believe Tombow had 108 markers. They have more colors now even. I don't have all of them, but I had a good amount of them, and when I had all of them available, I didn't really feel like the colors were going together very well. So I picked out some of my favorites and limited myself to using those. Again, even on this one, I don't really like that darker green. I would have picked a different color. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with these. It was a lot of fun to learn which colors I liked. And one thing I'm still working on is picking markers that have similar undertones. So on camera it doesn't really look as much. This gray actually has a lot of purplish colors to it, while some of these blues have more green undertones. So it's a little bit of a challenge sometimes to remember to check the undertones and not just grab a marker and start working with it. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun with these. Here's some flowers and a little bee. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen these. I have done some little reels showing these. I really love this gold color, but I feel like it doesn't really go with the other colors that I like to use a lot. So I don't really use it a whole lot, but every once in a while I'll use it for bees. And then these little flowers, just kind of some simple cute things. I really like the way that this flower turned out as well. But I've tried to draw flowers like that again, and they haven't turned out quite the way I want. So still working on making one of those again, but it was fun. Some more flowers and bees. This one I don't really love either, just because the way that the colors turned out, and I don't know why I made the moon gold. I would not do that again. I think it's just a little bit too dark and not quite the colors I was going for. But I do think it's kind of cute overall. That is a nice thing too about doing these marker spreads on both pages, is if I don't like one page, I probably like the other page at least a bit more, so it balances out and overall it doesn't feel like the whole thing is gross. Except for on this page. This one, I don't like either of them. Nothing that I was trying to do or thinking I wanted to do ended up turning out quite as I planned, so yeah. This one, all I thought of was a pumpkin and vines, and I didn't think far enough ahead to know what I actually wanted to have, so that one I'll probably come back to later. This one was just a little sunset, and I think possibly one of my markers was dying, so I had to switch to a different marker. And then this pink is from a Zebra Mildliner brush. So yeah, just a lot happened with the colors on these pages that I would not do again. This is just a very simple mountain scene. I mostly like these colors together. This green down here is a little bit too yellow, and I would probably switch it out for something a little bit closer to the color of this tree, and possibly also include some black fine liner to kind of crisp up the edges a little bit if I were to do it again. But I do like how the layering of the colors here turned out. I think it looks pretty nice, and that's definitely something that I used later. More random flower doodles. This was again trying to find more colors that I liked, and again with a marker that died. But I thought this would be a good color combination. I don't know if you can see it as well. So this is a kind of flamingo pink and then a hot pink together. On camera I think it looks a little bit more orange, but the hot pink definitely is not a color that I kept in my basket of colors that I use all the time, I guess my bag. It was kind of fun for this one, but not my favorite, so that one didn't stay in. This next one is one of my favorite drawings in this sketchbook. This is based on that sketch that I showed you earlier that I left as a pencil sketch. It's based on this, so I did change things up a little bit. It's no longer a volcano, it's now daytime, so there's no moon, and over here you can have a little bit of beach as well. But yeah, I really like this one. I like the way it turned out. I really like the colors, and it's definitely one of my favorites. This was just some color tests for a tropical scenery, showing out some different markers and also how they would look if I layered them. This was going to be a test for a digital project. I was seeing how I wanted to make a bush. I changed my mind, turned it into trees, and then my toddler told me that I needed to draw apples, so we drew random apples. Not really sure why, but that's all the story behind this one. It was a very chaotic, very fast little doodle page. This is another little tropical landscape. This is kind of the redo of this one, because this was going to be a test for a digital piece, I believe, and then this was a better version with colors that went together a little bit better, though I did have some struggles with this marker dying. These ones are, this is another kind of one of the pages where I liked a lot of how this one turned out. I would have added something to give it more interest over here, maybe a tree or something. And I didn't really like this one just because his colors and the textures aren't really what I was going for. I'm not sure how I would improve it quite yet, but I don't like how I ended up having to use the gray to outline him against the lighter gray. But having one that I think is pretty nice makes this one that I don't really like look better to me. So overall, I don't hate this section, but definitely not my favorite. More weird flowers. This was trying to make more of those. They're pretty similar, but still not quite what I was going for. And then this side was just layering different colors to see how they affected each other. Again, with that flamingo pink and hot pink together. I was like, I'll come back to it one more time just to see if I really don't like it, and I really don't. So that pink got put away. This is a mostly blank page. I was going to this was no sketch. I was going to use a micron and then fill it in with Tombows, and I decided I didn't like it. And this making the bricks was a bad idea. So I just kind of gave up on this one, and I'll probably come back later and put something on this page and kind of like connect them to make it look less blank, but I haven't done it yet. This was a marker test page, so you can kind of see I started to draw a little bit of something, and then I was just seeing how well my black covered. I used a couple different blacks for this. That pretty much is all about this page. Again, I'll probably put something here. Maybe I'll color on this with white and some gel pens and that sort of thing, but that's all. This was a combination of wanting to redraw my donut cat without a sketch, as well as adding an abstract background. And I also drew this little raccoon just because it sounded kind of fun, and I think he's pretty cute. He used some microns as well for the black, and then the rest is all Tombow. This is another one that is my favorite. I based this mostly off of the colors from that previous one that I showed you that I said is probably my favorite in this whole book. But on this one, I really like how the wave turned out. I would change things a little bit, but overall I think it's very cute, and I had a lot of fun making this. And then the last page is this one that has my color swatches for Draugust, which you will see all of Draugust in another video. So that is all I'll show you for today, but I'm a little over halfway through Draugust. Oh, I also have this page in the back where I tested my pencils, and this one where I tested some pens and markers. But I will show you, and more drawings from my toddler. So I will show you these ones later, and those will be in another video going up probably in a week or two. And that is all that is in this sketchbook. I just want to show you guys before I start this new one, and then we can do a video of this one when I finish it, which hopefully will not take a year and a half like this one did. Hopefully it will be a little bit faster. But that is all for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed seeing a little bit into my process and a look at these sketchbooks.